Now, since we're starting a new project, it makes sense to take the steps in starting a new project. We're up to here. What we're going to do in this video is create a project folder, get our data ready, create an environment, and then launch up a Jupyter Notebook and make sure that we can import our tools so they're ready to use for our problem. So let's get started. I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to come to my machine learning course folder that I've been using. I'm going to make a new folder, and this one I'm going to call, let's call Bulldozer Price Prediction Project. Nice and simple. Have I got any spelling errors? Nope. Beautiful. So we'll come into this folder. Beautiful. We've got an empty folder. So if we go here, we can tick this one off. So create project folder. Now for the data, this one's a little bit different. We're going to go to Kaggle to get our data set. Because what the bulldozer problem is, so if we go to kaggle.com, Blue Book for bulldozers. Now, this problem that we're working through originated as a Kaggle competition. So you can see here, predict the auction sale price for a piece of heavy equipment, aka bulldozer, to create a blue book for bulldozer. Now, I'm assuming a blue book means maybe historic sales events or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. So if we look here, we can see an overview of the project. When this competition first came out, there was a $10,000 prize pool for this competition. And if you're wondering, hey, I'm not even sure what Kaggle is, well, you can imagine it as the home for data scientists, because Kaggle is full of different competitions, different data sets, different notebooks and discussions, as well as heaps of courses as well. Kaggle is just a plethora of resources for data scientists. And if you're wondering what the competitions are, well, this is one here. What happens is a company might post a data set, and then it'll be your job to see how well you can model it or how well you can build a system to solve the problem that they're posting. And that's what we're going to be working through in this project. We're going to download the data, the data set from the original competition, and then we're going to build an entire project to end up building a machine learning model, and we'll see how we would have ended up on the leaderboard. So you can see here we've got some scores, and these are different teams of people around the world, of data scientists just like you. So that's what we'll have by the end of this project. But if you're talking too much, let's get the data. So you can come to this URL here, kaggle.com/c for competition /bluebook for bulldozers /data. You can click this download all link. Now you will need an account to log in to get this data, but since I'm already signed in, I'm going to download it. We can see that it's going into my downloads folder. So if we come back to my file browser, you can see I've actually already downloaded it here, but this is just going to re-download the exact same file. So there we've got it there. Now we could keep it here, but since we're working in our project folder, I'm going to move it into the Bulldozer Price Prediction Project, the folder we just created. So your folder might be differently named. Now we can see here, beautiful. We've got our zip file. Let's unzip that. Wonderful. And that comes into a folder of more folders. Far out. We've got train invalid CSV. And if you're looking through these wondering what's going on, well, the next place to look is back in Kaggle and see what's going on here. So we've got data description. What I might do is zoom in. There we go. Pinch to zoom. Come on, Daniel, you know how to use a computer. Okay, so this is what it's telling us. The data for this competition is split into 3 parts. And remember how I said that this is a time series problem? Well, we've got train CSV, which contains data up to the end of 2011. And then we have valid.csv, which is the validation set, which contains data from January 1, 2012 to April 30, 2012. Now you notice here that the validation set has data after the training set, which is from 2011. We'll have a look at this when we're working through it. And then finally, the test data set, which won't be released until the last week of the competition, but because this competition has already passed, we've got access to the test.csv. It contains data after the validation set. So see here, the validation set ends on April 30, 2012, whereas this one continues from May 1, 2012. Okay, so this is some information here about the data we're going to be working with. There's also a data dictionary, but we'll have a look at that in a second. Let's go back to the folder we were working with. And if we look here, train CSV. Where's train CSV? It's still in a zip file, so we'll unzip that. Train.csv, wonderful. Then we've got valid.csv. Okay, so this one must be train and valid.csv in the one file. We'll have a look at that in our Jupyter Notebook in a minute. We're just familiarizing ourselves with the data we've downloaded from Kaggle. Then we can see data dictionary. Okay, that's pretty self-explanatory what that might be. And then there's test.csv. Okay, so we've got that. All right, now let's go back to our project folder that we're working on. What I might do is put this, sticking with the folder nomenclature, which is a fancy name for naming system that we've been using, we might create a data folder and just put all of our data in there. And then we can delete this zip file because we've got Blue Book for Bulldozers in there. Wonderful. Now we've got a file to work with. We come back here. Bulldozer price prediction project. We've got our data. Let's go back to our workflow. We've got our data in our project folder. Excellent. The next is to create an environment or collection of tools using Conda. Let's do that. And to do that, we're going to have to use Terminal. Make this window a little bit bigger. So I'm going to change directory into my desktop, which is where I'm storing this folder. Come back into Terminal. So change directory, desktop, ML course, and then within that, I've got Bulldozer price prediction. Wonderful. And so I've got to go ls. It shows me that I have this data folder, which is exactly what we've got there. Wonderful. And so now we're going to create an environment. So we can do that with Conda create. And because we want to create a little n folder, actually, I need the prefix tag. Now we've seen this in our previous project, but we're going to create a new environment within here. So let's do that. So Conda create prefix .env, yes, correct. And then we're going to give it pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, Jupyter, and scikit-learn. Because we're staying in line with the tools that we want to use. So pandas, Matplotlib, NumPy, Jupyter, Miniconda is what we're using to create this environment, and scikit-learn. So let's see if it works. Beautiful, and we're going to press yes. And there we go. So I'll let this load for about a minute or so, and I'll come back once it's finished. Beautiful. So that took about a minute or so on my machine. It'll depend on how quick your machine is or how fast your internet connection is, because Conda has to download a few things. So we can see to activate this environment, which we've seen before, we can use the code here, Conda activate users, Daniel, desktop, machine learning course, Bulldozer price prediction, project/env. And if we look back into our folder that we created, we've got an N folder, which in here is going to contain all of our tools. So let's activate that and see if we've got a Jupyter Notebook ready to use, which we won't, but we'll start up a Jupyter server so we can get started in our workspace. Desktop/ML course/Bulldozer price prediction project/env. Wonderful. So you notice here that the base has now changed to this file path here. And to test if we've got Jupyter installed, we can type in Jupyter Notebook. What this is going to do is create a server on our local machine, aka this computer right here, running Jupyter, which is where we can start Jupyter Notebooks and get our workspace up and running. Beautiful. So that took about 30 seconds or so. The first time you run it in a new environment, it may take a little while to load. Now we've got the exact same folder that we created in our File Explorer, or Finder in my case, up on Jupyter. Wonderful. And the way we can test to see if our environment is set up correctly, so we can go New Notebook. Wonderful. And to test it quickly, we're going to go Import NumPy as NP. We need to check that we can import all of our tools. Pandas as PD. Import Matplotlib.pyplot as PLT, import sklearn. Now, if it's worked correctly, this cell should run without any errors. Now again, this might take a little while if it's the first time running in this environment, as Conda and Jupyter prepare all these tools, so we'll just wait patiently while this runs through. Beautiful! So again, on my machine that took about 30 seconds or so, maybe closer to a minute, but what this means is we've got our tools ready to use. So if we come back to our workflow, we've just imported pandas, matplotlib, numpy, and scikit-learn, and we're working within a Jupyter notebook, and we've gone through these steps here. So we've created a project folder, we've downloaded our data from Kaggle, we've created an environment which is a collection of tools, we're working in a Jupyter notebook, and now we have access to these tools here. So this is what we're going to do now: data analysis and manipulation, and of course, finishing off with some machine learning. Well, our notebook's ready to go. This is what we're working for the next few videos, so I'll see you then.